So I'm joined here today by Mark Sambrooke of Cyber Island Global, and we're here to discuss really the major changes that could and might happen in the States, which is the H-1B visa scenario. Now, Mark, thank you for joining me, number
Oh,
one.
nice to see you again.
Yeah, and I understand that you have had one of these H-1B visas before, so I think that's why it's great that we can get the opportunity to talk to you today. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, well, I'm coming at it from a couple angles. It was really interesting news to me. The first one is that, for years, for over a decade, I worked down in the U.S. as a Canadian citizen, and now I'm back in Canada, and I'm working with an organization where we do a lot of hires and team augmentation, for organizations in the U.S. So both of those directions, the news this week was pretty interesting. On the personal level, it's interesting because between '97 and 2007, 2008, I worked as a Canadian in Silicon Valley, both under the trade NAFTA visa, which is one way Canadians can go down is under NAFTA, but also for a long time under this H-1B status. So I guess I kind of understand on a personal level, the workers who are affected by this and the stress or the anxiety that comes from not really knowing what's going to happen. There's so many parts of your life that are affected obviously by this. And I think that the flip side then obviously is the uncertainty that's introduced by employers who don't know what's going to happen to key members of their teams, whether or not they're going to be able to bring in new folks or whether they're going to be able to renew existing ones. That obviously brings in a lot of kind of planning, anxiety, and questions around your long-term strategy.
Yeah.
So, to stick on the personal for a little bit, what my experience was, I had to renew every year. That was just sort of the normal flow, both for the NAFTA and the H-1B actually was on a different rhythm. But every time you cross the border, it's a question, right? Every time, as an individual, when you go through customs and you present them with your visa, you're answering questions that that if you give the wrong answer, they're not going to let you back in, and what's going to happen then. So on the best day, it comes with some stress, and then when you throw in these kinds of these big questions, I can only imagine what people are going through right now in terms of their families, their homes, their business that they might be operating. Their family and friends. I mean, they're building a life down there, so it's pretty challenging to be working under that cloud, especially when it could change again, and then it could change again. Like the uncertainty, I think, is the hard part.
Yeah, and I think from what you've just said, from my perspective as well, I've had a lot of candidates and clients alike come to me, and they're just really unsure as to the whole situation because from my perspective, quite a lot of the US workforce, especially within cybersecurity, is reliant upon that H-1B visa as well. And I've got people coming to me that, as you said, are genuinely, well, I would say scared, but that may be too strong, of what is going to happen. They've got their kids in school, they've set up a life down there, and it could be taken away at the drop of a hat. So there's a lot of things that are being impacted from their personal level and also their career prospects because they came across to the States maybe and they were looking at these jobs as to be the next big thing, and it's kind of put a stunt on that. So when it comes to the employer side of things, like I understand from my client's perspective, they have lots of team members that are on visas, so they're a bit unsure. But how will it impact teams within the large organizations from your point of view?
Well, I think it's going to cause a lot of turmoil and questions about how do you grow a team, a specialized team, under that umbrella or in that environment. Right now, I'm working in cybersecurity, and prior to this, there was already a huge talent shortage in cyber. You can debate the numbers, back and forth, but it's well over 1 million, open positions that that companies were expecting or hoping to fill over the next couple of years that just, how are they going to fill them? The talent's not there. So there's a lot of work to be done to come up with long-term, stable growth strategies, to fill those positions. That's what we've been working on here on the Canadian end of things in Atlantic, Canada, where I'm from. And that's really what, when I went home, came back from the U.S. 10 or so years ago, and started working in industry here, and eventually moved into cyber and working on exactly that problem. How do you augment teams, talented, with some specialized skill set in the North American market? We happen to be in a spot here in Atlantic, Canada, where we have some real advantages. And so when this news came up for the H-1B suspension, I think is the proper term that they're using, the suspension.
Yeah.
It's not as if any of us didn't know that was being that was possible. It's not as if H-1B in general and the limitations on the annual quota, or the threshold, everyone knew that was there, and we've known that was there for decades. So it's always been kind of a real problem. But now that the news this week came in and that the suspension is real, I think it's put things into a different gear, and it's got a lot of people talking and thinking about how do we adjust to this new reality, and what plans are we going to make for the next the next quarter, the next year, the next decade. How do we plan for growth? Yeah,
I agree. And I mean, from what I understand about the Atlantic Canadian market, there seems to be quite a lot of framework that's being put into place to build the cyber space around here. And I mean, you can talk to this about the talent development stuff that, I mean, Cyber Island are doing, I'm pretty sure, and that kind of pipeline that you've created. So if, say, for example, I was a massive organization in the States, I've got a team of 50 and say 25% of them are on a B1 visa, a H-1B visa, sorry. What would you do if you were running that team? If you had to make a decision, what would you do?
Yeah, well, there's a short-term and a long-term set of decisions to be made. One short-term is how do you take care of the people that are there now, and give them the answers that they're going to be coming to you and asking you, for both for themselves and for their families. And so you need to take care of the people first, and then you need to take care of the team and make sure that you're planning, for your organization, and make sure that your immediate needs are covered and there's not going to be gaps. And so you can either do that. There's multiple ways you can do that. One of the ways is what we offer is through team augmentation and going to an organization like a MSSP and finding those resources. That's a good solution. It's a short-term solution. The long-term solution would be working with one of those MSSPs like Cyber Island. That's us, to come up with a strategy for long-term growth. And that's really what I've been working on personally for the last little while, is a regional strategy here in Atlantic Canada for growing both talent that we have here. We have a lot of, if you don't know about Atlantic Canada, it's the east coast of Canada, just kind of northeast of New York, Boston area. A lot of talented people here, but it's been economically depressed for various reasons for a long time now. So a lot of work's been done over the last decade or two to change that, and a lot of that focus has actually been in cyber, oddly enough. So a ton of success there over the last 10 years. And so we're really building on that and looking to build a pipeline from public schools and from post-secondary institutions. Really high concentration here of post-secondary institutions that we get to work with, and then pulling that into industry and on-the-job training and graduate mentorship programs and kind of all these progressive things that we're trying to implement to welcome new people into our industry, because we know what the shortages are, where the demand is, and they're great careers. The flip side of that, or maybe the other side of the coin, is immigration. finding global talent and welcoming them, into our communities. And I'm really proud to say Atlantic Canada has been fantastic at that. We've really put a real focus on that kind of growth, and there's specific government programs at kind of all levels, the federal, provincial, and regional. There's organizations that are working hard to make that possible. So there's in particular, there's an immigration program for Atlantic Canada for highly skilled workers, where you can fast track people from away, as we call them here. People from away can come to the community here, and I think actually you're one of them. From your other conversations, people coming from other parts of the world can come in, bring their talents and their energy into the community, and that's another way that we can grow teams here, and then offer that out to the rest of North America. Because the truth is, from a nearshore versus offshore approach, if you can't hire where you are, if you're in Atlanta or Houston or Manhattan or wherever you are, San Francisco, if the resources aren't there to hire, then you've got to go elsewhere. You've got to augment your team through some kind of alternative solution. And nearshoring just has so many advantages over the offshore. Like no knock against all the good work that's being done in a lot of parts of the world to offer services, but to be able to offer that next door, where the time zones overlap, where a lot of things overlap. It's easy to visit. It's easy for people who are here to go to those locations, just jump on a plane. The advantages are many, and the cost advantages are still there too. It's about a 40% cost advantage to operate a nearshore team, here in Atlantic Canada versus doing it in Atlanta or Houston. So it's actually a pretty cool opportunity that's we're working on here, and really we're just hoping to get that out there and offer that as a solution to people who are right now kind of scrambling for ways to respond to this H-1B suspension in a positive, kind of long-term strategic way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great to talk to somebody like yourself in this scenario, because as I said, I've got a lot of people coming to me, they're very unsure, and I think that's the worst part about this for everybody involved at the moment, is the uncertainty. Because if a decision had been made, then there would be strict plans that can be put in place very quickly and can be kind of made use of also very quickly. So thank you for taking the time out today and kind of giving our network the opportunity to see just what can be done by a company in Atlantic Canada, but then also to see your insight from not being in the US. So thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, my pleasure. And if anyone has any questions, just feel free to connect with us, cyberislandglobal.com. We'd be happy to talk about solutions versus challenges.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mark, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.